If you've been around the watch world long enough, you know Bulova has always done things a little differently, and the Super Seville is a perfect example. It starts with the name, but the real story is the history. This is a genuine retro design, and it shows right down to the bold TV-shaped dial that takes you straight back to the era it came from. The case size returns closer to the original, which is exactly where a design like this belongs. There's no date window cluttering the face, just a clean, cohesive look, now offered with 3 new stone dials in magnesite, sodalite, and jade. Then there's the engine. The Super Seville runs on Bulova's proprietary precisionist movement, with its mesmerizing smooth sweeping seconds hand and accuracy that beats most competitors. Heritage looks, modern performance. Find Bulova at Wind Up in Chicago and at bulova.com. That is BULOVA.com. Now, back to the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Zach Kazan. I am the editorial director at Worn and Wound, joined today by Kat Shoulders, media director at Worn and Wound. Kat, how's it going?
Great. Glad to be here.
You're joining us from, last week we talked about like Zach's interesting background, and this week you have one as well.
Yes.
I mistook it for something for real life initially when
It's that good.
first saw it, but it's not. Joining us from, it looks like Riverside Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a podcast studio.
So, yeah, very, very official looking. Lots of neon. Very exciting. How's it going, Kat?
Great. Yeah. It's, I guess we've officially kicked off summer now.
It's summer. Yeah.
First day of summer
was over the
day.
weekend. Yeah. I mean, I've been in like a summer frame of mind for at least a few weeks.
Okay.
I'm choosing to embrace summer this year. Usually I'm like kind of like if you ask me, just any random day, like what my least favorite season is, I'm usually going to say summer because I don't love the heat. I don't love the humidity. But you know what? I'm trying to take a more positive outlook this year.
I love that for you.
And thank you. Yeah. So I'm trying to embrace it. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
We have like one short kind of stretch of like really bad heat. It's only June 22nd as we record, so there's lots of time left for me to get pissed off with summer weather.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Look, I'm just glad it's not gloomy and cold, so I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it was a long winter, and we're well past that now, thankfully. So yeah, happy summer solstice to everyone listening. We have a fun episode today. We're going to be talking about watch writing cliches. I'll explain why we're doing that as we get into it. Revisiting a topic that I wrote about a few months ago, several months ago now, in the pages of Worn and Wound. I thought it'd be a fun thing to kind of like maybe like revisit, add on to.
Yeah.
Before we do that, we're going to talk about some new releases and also do a wrist check. Cal, let's get that started. What are you wearing today?
I am wearing my Clements Monroe today.
Oh, very nice.
Let's see the tricolor dial.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm wearing my Fears Brunswick Jump Hour in solid silver, which is just a great watch. Just really,
It's fun.
just really, really beautiful watch. There's a diamond on this watch. There's a diamond set in the crown.
Oh,
All of
yeah.
their
Like
silver
precious
watches have a
metals.
diamond
Oh,
set in the crown. Maybe the gold ones do too.
I'm not sure.
But
That's kind of cool.
yeah, it's the only watch I have with a diamond. So
Yeah.
I think it's just a really beautiful watch. I really
very
like
beautiful.
it. It's not an everyday piece, but an occasional wear, and so I really enjoy putting it on when I do decide
I like
to
a
wear it.
gem in a crown. I really like what Cartier does too.
Mhm.
I think it's a nice little subtle touch to a watch.
Yeah, love it. Just add just a little bit of bling,
Mhm.
just like a little bit of private private bling.
Yeah.
I won't, before we get into like new releases and the main topic, I do have a little announcement to make. I haven't told you this. I haven't even spoken this into the world.
I'm excited. Okay, I'm sitting.
So, last week on the podcast, Zach Weiss's wrist check, I think it was his wrist check, was his new Otsuka Low-Tech number 8.
Oh, yes.
And I said on the podcast that I was waiting for mine.
Uh-huh.
And then a day later, I got a shipping notification and it arrived today. I just got back from FedEx to pick it up. No customs issues of any kind. It made it through in a snap. So I would just like to say, I'm capable of manifesting things. I manifested this on the podcast last week. So if anyone wants anything conjured or manifested, my DMs are open. We can work out some sort of deal. Listen, this is a mystical thing that happened. So
that's amazing.
I haven't even opened it yet. The box is sitting on my kitchen table.
You're just staring at it throughout this whole podcast.
Should I make unboxing content with this? Should I
We should do an ASMR at the end, and you just open your package.
Oh God, I don't know if I'm prepared for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just felt like announcing it because I literally just got back from
congrats.
FedEx.
And I'm excited. I'm excited for you to see it in person.
I'm excited that I can manifest and conjure things and just make them appear. This is something. It's a power I've long desired, and I now have it.
There's like a rush that you get when you get a shipping notification that like it's on its way, or it's like it's delivering today. Like there is truly some endorphins that release when you see that.
It's a really nice feeling. And it's paired often with like dread, because I'm always worried in the back of my mind that something's going to go wrong. That like, the package, like especially an international shipment. And I bought an Otsuka Low-Tech, like a year or so ago, and it was just like not their fault, and not even FedEx's fault. It's the U.S. government's fault. It was just in customs like forever, and I thought, well, this will be that again, and because I had heard anecdotally that some other people who had bought this particular watch had also had long customs waits. It just like it made it through so fast, and
that's
like
incredible.
So I feel
all the odds were in your favor for sure.
Seriously, that just means though that the universe will even things
today.
out, and something bad will happen like tomorrow, and because that's how the universe is.
Yeah,
like, the good and then the bad, and it's
totally.
Anyway, wrist check and shipping update out of the way. Let's talk about some new releases before we get into our watch writing cliches. I had like just a few written down in our outline here that I wanted to talk about that I thought were notable.
You'll have to tell me about this first one because I'm truly not familiar with this watch fair.
So Basilia is a new watch fair. I honestly don't really know too much about this. A number of watch media sites have reported on it. Hodinkie's reported on it. Watch Pros reported on it. This is a new watch fair that's kind of like sprung from the ashes of Basel World, hence Basilia, which I just think is like a very funny name for this show. I guess the premise of this show is that it's going to take place, I think, like right after Watches and Wonders in April. So like we'll be expected maybe to like go from Geneva to Basel. You're shaking your head. You're just like, no.
Cat's out.
Hard no. No word on brands involved as of yet, at least at the time of this recording. But I think there's speculation that like
the same. I know you don't know a lot, but is it the same people involved, or is this something completely new? Just
I believe
trying to take a replacement of Basel.
I think the way it's being pitched is that it's like it's not Basel. It's not like a recreation of Basel, but I believe the management company that put on Basel is involved in this somehow, and I think it would take place at like the same location that Basel did, like the big hall that like those kinds of buildings are really only good for one thing, and they're good for like giant
trade shows.
So like there's probably and there are companies that like all they do is like put on trade shows, so for a variety of different industries. So I think that's kind of how this is like shaping up. No word on it'll be really interesting to see like if like what brands sign on. I think there's speculation that like the Swatch Group brands could be involved in this.
Interesting.
And like independent and small brands, like kind of like micro sort of brands that we cover could also be involved. How do you feel, Kat, about back-to-back trade shows in April?
Yeah, I think it's different when we do like Watches and Wonders, and during the same week we go to smaller events, Chronopolis, Ravage, and some of the other smaller ones. But to do another big one after that week, it would be really hard. So yeah, and I imagine hard not just for us, but for all the journalists that go out there. We're gone already for 7 days, usually minimum, and you're exhausted. You're just like, I know the mental capacity too, just not even the physicality of it, just the mental capacity of writing nonstop and seeing so much. So I don't know. It's smart of them. Obviously, they want to make use of everyone being out there, but it's going to be a challenge, I think.
I haven't talked to anyone who's really excited about it, like in our corner of the world.
Yeah, and I hate to not be, because I think it's a cool idea. I think if they could, like, I don't know, work with Watches and Wonders and maybe find a way for more of the brands to be. I don't know. It's just it's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked out, I think, in order for that to kind of make sense. But I think it's going to be really hard.
It's tricky because back in the Basel SIHH days, those shows took place like a few months apart. SIHH was in February, and then Basel was in like April or May or whatever. And so, and people, this was before my time, going to these events. But I remember, listening to podcasts, and people complaining about like having to like double back and go back to Switzerland like a few months later. And this is like a different approach, having the shows like more closely, tied together in terms of their timing. So maybe the idea is like people would just like stay in Switzerland, and because I don't think their time to be like right back to back. I think there might be like a gap. I'll have to double check. Anyway, it just seems like it's like a no-win. Like there's gonna, like, people are gonna be disappointed, for either way. Either way. I like the timing of the like Watches and Wonders to Geneva Watch Days. Like that makes sense. Like that's like they're in different
like
seasons.
Spring and then fall, right? Yeah,
right. And by fall, I'm looking forward to getting back there. And it's a different vibe. And and that's the other thing is that, like, if the shows are very similar in their kind of like tenor, like if they're both kind of like primarily B2B trade shows with like a media component that's kind of like secondary, but like most people who attend are for B&B, like that's also something that can make it even feel more exhausting. It's nice to have like a change up, it's nice to, like, even when you're there in Geneva, it's nice to be able to go from like Watches and Wonders to like the Beau Rivage, which is a very different vibe.
And
so
I just think about how tired I would be.
Yeah.
I already come home and I'm so tired and exhausted, and it's so fun and it's great, and it's hard to complain about our jobs. We get to go to Switzerland once or twice a year, but it is physically and mentally exhausting. The week that we're there, I can imagine staying back and then doing it over, and then we also have like wind up very close to that now too. It's a lot for us.
Not to mention all the work that's actually involved in, like, on the content side, and. Listen, maybe the solution is we just work from Switzerland for a month. We just we get an Airbnb or a couple Airbnbs and just camp out there for 6 weeks. Maybe we just say we live in Switzerland now.
That'd make things pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll be affordable and easy to
totally affordable,
easy to manage.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Basilia coming next year. We'll have more. Obviously, we'll continue to cover that. And discuss
the name.
that.
I don't love the name.
The name makes it sound like a party, kind of. It makes it sound like there's something festive about it.
Basilia,
yeah. Anyway, lots of unknowns, but we'll find out more, and I'm sure it will come up again.
Yeah,
on the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, let's pencil in the Basilia recap episode right now. I also wanted to just touch real quick on a couple other new releases of note. Something that really caught my eye last week was the Jane Shapiro Radiant Monopusher chronograph. This is their first kind of like production complication. They released about a year ago in a very limited quantity, a monopusher chronograph for a Boston area watch collecting group, very small. I think they made like, I don't know, 10 or 20 or even fewer of those mono pushers. I think that one was in steel, if I'm not mistaken. This one's in tantalum, though. Tantalum case. And the inspiration behind it is the the fact that like Shapiro headquarters is sort of like nestled within like the like aerospace industry in Southern California. So there's meteorite on the dial. They've used like space age materials. I'm bringing the article up now to get more insight into it. But it's like it's a very like this is an interesting watch to me because it's very like contemporary feeling to me.
Yeah.
In a way that other Shapiro watches are not. Like I just associate like the aesthetic of the brand with this sort
something
of like
classic.
Yeah, like classicism. It's like it's very, these watches are kind of like very in dialogue with like, Breguet, and other sort of like like classically styled watches, and this feels very different. What did you think of these watches when you saw them?
So I actually, I really like them. I've never, I wouldn't say never been a fan of the Shapiro line, but they've never really spoken to me. And I think because they feel very fresh, they feel a little bit more modern. I'm like attracted to them. I did not see them come out initially. I have been under a rock for the last few weeks because I've been moving. So I've actually missed a lot of these releases. But looking at it here, I really like this. I think it's super nice.
Yeah, so the blue elements are zirconium. So that's the other kind of like space age material that they're using here, like non-traditional material. So it's like still in that sort of like, it approaches that classical style. It's not a huge departure, but like the materials that they're using are really, really like pretty interesting. I think Shapiro's really carving out a niche for themselves as being sort of like experts in machining tantalum, which is an interesting avenue for them. Like they've already sort of established that they're sort of like the best in the game at guilloche, just like incredible guilloche work. And, they make a tantalum bracelet, of course, for their own watches and for other watches in the brands of the Alternative Horological Alliance. So yeah, interesting things from Shapiro. I also think, it's a cool approach that they're making these watches. These are expensive watches. They're like in the
30s.
Yeah, like mid 30s. But it's like less than half the cost of their like highest end watch. They're like almost entirely American made watch. So this is like just another entry point, to the brand. And I think that's also smart to kind of work on two tracks.
Yeah. So they're pretty cool. I like them both.
Yeah. The other new release that I thought we could talk about is the Doxa T-Graph. Big kind of like enthusiast focused watch. The T-Graph is a historic chronograph made by Doxa in very small numbers in its original run. They did a limited edition release of a T-Graph, I think back in like 2019. Using vintage Valjoux chronograph movements, and this is like a new like production version of the T-Graph, which is I'm sure like it's got to be like the most requested Doxa catalog piece that has not been like firmly reestablished in their catalog yet. So I imagine this will be a big like a big hit for them. I saw this watch really briefly in Geneva when we met with Doxa earlier this year. It's pretty cool. I'm not really like I've talked about it on the podcast. Like I've never really been like a Doxa guy. I think it's like a very specific sort of aesthetic and look, and it's just like never quite been for me. But like this watch is like it's different. It's like it's like a big chunky dive chronograph. It's fun. Like a lot of their watches, they kind of like appear visually large, but then like wear surprisingly
really well.
Do you have any thoughts on the T-Graph?
Yeah, I like them. I tend to get really confused with all the different models of like the Doxa collections between like the T and I don't know, all just the differences. So I'd have to like see this side by side to the, I guess, the limited edition to kind of look at it. It's a nice watch though. I think there's like a niche group of collectors that are probably after a dive chronograph. I feel like that's its own category itself now. And I know there's a lot of people that love those, chunky divers. It's not something that I'm after per se, but I love Doxa and I love what they do. And I think these look great. And I have no overall complaints. See them for the first time here on the podcast. They look great.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's the price? 42, just over 4,200.
Yeah. So that's people are already kind of being, I mean, listen, no watch is priced fairly according to the internet. But people are calling out the price as being a little out of step with other Doxa releases, which I don't really agree with. This is, it's not like a super affordable entry level watch. But I think that you can point to many other chronographs with Sellita movements made by these niche sort of collector enthusiast focused brands that approach a similar price point. It does not seem I didn't see the price and immediately think, well, that's ridiculous. So, we'll get one in for review at some point, I think, and do a more thorough hands-on, because I think the watch warrants that for sure. But yeah, I think this will be this will be the kind of watch I think that ends up on top 10 of the year list. There are a lot of people waiting for this one. So
that's cool. Well, I'm excited for them. Always good to share that excitement.
Yeah. One other watch that came out last week, which we didn't write about on the site because we have a hands-on review in the works, is the Fears Brunswick 40 Helmsman. This is a new, I guess this is like a yachting focused Fears.
Yeah.
With it has an all brushed case.
A little sportier.
Yeah. Did you see this? Did you see this watch?
I have not seen it in person, unfortunately. Yeah.
Because I think they were in Nashville, right?
They were in Nashville, and then I was sadly moving that weekend and couldn't go see them, unfortunately. But we have one of our editors. I think the watch is on its way to him for review, so I'm excited to see his hands on. But I think it's a cool watch. I like seeing the sportier side of Fears, considering a lot of what they do is on the dressier side or a little bit more classier. So these are fun, and they're a little bit bigger. They have a little bit more wrist presence. But I think that's kind of nice for kind of a sports watch like this. I like it's brushed. It looks beautiful. Yeah. No, I think it's cool.
I like the dial. I like the I like the crisp, the stark white dial with the blue accents. I think that looks really nice. I bet it'll be really cool with the all brushed case too. So that's on its way to Ed Jelly, who will be writing about that watch, hopefully from a yacht.
Get on a yacht.
That's my expectation, that he's going to take that watch yachting at some point. So, all right, let's get into the main topic. We're going to talk about watch writing cliches this week.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I wrote an article back in early, I guess, this year or maybe late last year it was called 5 Watch Writing Cliches That We Need to Retire. Yeah. And the inspiration for doing this episode now is someone over on the TGN Slack. Shout out to the TGN Slack. Great, really, honestly, fantastic community of people over there.
Yeah, I love them.
Someone very kindly as part of a longer conversation about something unrelated, very kindly posted a link to that article and tagged me, and said, referred to it as a good example of something. I don't remember exactly, but they tagged me and thought it was a good article, and it generated a little bit of a discussion. So and I went back and revisited it, and I hadn't I don't spend a lot of time dwelling on things I've written. After they've been published, you got to move on to the next thing. But I clicked on the link and I went through and I read it. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually maybe worthy of discussion.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, this is good. I like some of this. So I thought it might be a fun thing to talk about on the podcast, because I remember we also had the two of us along with Zach Weiss. We had a fun conversation when this was kind of in the idea stage about other cliches that didn't make it into the final piece. So I thought we could just sort of buzz through the cliches that I included in the op-ed, just to kind of get your thumbs up or thumbs down on whether these are legit or not. Okay. And then maybe talk about some additional cliches that that were on the cutting room floor. And maybe also we will definitely need to talk about why these cliches exist in the first place. Because I have some thoughts on that. That I think are worth addressing, and it might cause an existential crisis among both of us. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
Right.
So the first one, I think the one that is like the most obvious to everyone is pop of color or splash of color. This is like the equivalent,
it needs to be retired,
of like if you say it, it's like, you know, a quarter in the swear jar, you know, like you just gotta like, you just gotta not use this term. And I will say also, and I point this out in the article, like I am guilty of all of these. I have written like,
I am too.
Over 1,000 articles, you know, for Worn and Round, you know, over the years. Over the course of those articles, I have done all of these many times, and just it's sort of just like, you know, you just got to grind these out sometimes, you know, and sometimes a pop of color is gonna, you know, find its way in there. But yeah, pop of color, never necessary. Here's the thing. We always have
retire.
Yeah. Retire. We always have photos of the watches, you know, like accompanying the article. People can see the color and determine, you know, whether it's a pop or a splash. And I don't think there's need to like further describe the like intensity or frequency of the color. It's like it's self-evident from the photo. Yeah. So that's my logic. And like
I think it should be retired. You know what? I'm kind of interested, if you asked like AI to write, which we don't obviously, but if you asked it to write an article, like how many of these cliches would it pull? Because it's pulling from all of the writing that we and other, you know, media companies have done over the years, and I'm sure it would mention so many of these.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a fun project for after this recording. We can even feed the transcript of this recording into AI and ask it to like respond to whatever we ask it to do from this pod. Listen, there's a huge rabbit hole here. So yeah, pop of color, retire.
Yeah, we can retire that one.
Yeah, that one's got to go. We're gonna strive to not do that. So another one that I included here, and I got pushback on real time on this. I got DMs when I wrote the article. Something that it's not a cliche. It's just like an idiomatic thing that just kind of like grinds my gears. Speaking of idiomatic phrases, and that is using the term on wrist to describe a watch on your wrist. This is grammatically inappropriate. It doesn't work. It's not standard English. It's not that it's wrong. It's just like it's not correct. And I've looked into this. I've researched it. There's just like there's no real defense for it.
Yeah.
Other than it has become part of watch language, like the shared language in our community, which is something that happens in all enthusiast communities, I think. You know, there are things that are become common language. They enter the lexicon, and they might not be, you know, grammatically correct or standard in that language, English in this case. What do you think of on wrist? Do you use on wrist?
I probably have, but I do agree that it's not really necessary, nor is it like it doesn't really make sense. I think I was trying to scroll through the article. You put an example there of
I have a couple
some
of
shoes
examples.
Or something. Yeah.
Yeah. You wouldn't say like these Jordans are great on foot.
Yeah. That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do agree. I think we could retire. It doesn't offend me in the same way that it offends you, but I do agree it does not make sense, and we can do without it. I want
to say, like, I'm not offended by it. I've come to a place of acceptance that it's just like I'm on the losing side of this, but I reserve the right to point out that it's not standard
Isn't it kind
English.
Of special that like we made up something and it's stuck and everyone, you know, this community uses it all the time? It's just for us.
Maybe. What I worry about, I want to grow the hobby. I want people to enjoy and, you know, watch and feel welcome. And I just worry about the impression that people have if their entryway is like, what are these people talking about? This like made up language. Like, let's speak correctly here.
Sure.
So anyway, that's on wrist. Another one is future classic. I think this might have been one that you suggested actually in the comments. So I'll let you speak to future classic. What is
Well, first of all, I've used it a lot. And I will also say that I had a podcast prior to coming to Warn Around for 3 years. I'm sure that I said this so many times. But it's overused. It's overused. And we see it, again, it's like there's so much more that you could use to describe a watch than just saying it's a future classic. Everything at this point is a future classic. Like we have to come up with something new.
Yeah.
New.
Here's the thing. Like I think about like classics in the context of movies or music.
Yeah.
And the albums that, for example, that I think of as classics are albums that existed before I was born. You know, like it takes a long time for something to really be a classic. If you want to modify it by saying like modern classic, like maybe that's different. Like there are albums that came out 20 years ago when I was in college that are very meaningful to me that, you know, are modern classics in my opinion. But like for something to be a classic, it kind of has to be old. It kind of has to be something that has existed in the culture for generations. And you know, a watch that is newly released, we just don't know. Like you don't know. You know,
So I'm gonna say I don't think that we should retire this phrase, but I think we should be very, very selective.
Yeah,
that's how we use it.
Yeah, I think that's.
So I'm like, my thumb is in the middle right now. It's not up or down. Okay. It's in the middle.
Okay. I mean, I can get on board with that. I think that, you know, yes, agreed. We need to be very selective, and that, you know, when something really rises to that like future classic designation, you know, it'll be more meaningful. I'm not prepared to say that, like, you know, the new Doxa T-Graph is a future classic. In fact, I'm prepared to say that will not be a future classic because it's based on something that's old that is a classic.
That is a classic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Totally.
And I'm not prepared to say the Shapiro Radiant Monopusher is a future classic either. First of all, I haven't seen the watch in person, so it would be ridiculous to say that. But like, yeah, as much, like I like that watch a lot. Like in theory, I think it's great. But like, yeah, anyone saying future classic for any
I wonder. Yeah, we should go back to like your oldest articles and see what we called future classics 10 years ago, and if they made it. You know. Are they classics now, or will they be in the next few years?
I prefer not to go back and look at my earliest articles. I think I even mentioned that in the article, that in this very article, that like I had to like link to something that very early on from like 2019 or something.
And I cringe a little bit.
Oh, cringe! I cringe a lot. I can't go back and look at that old stuff. All right, next one is where's better than the specs would suggest. I think we all do this from time to time. The argument that I made in the article is that every watch wears better than the specs would suggest to someone. It's all dependent on you know, wrist geometry and your own taste. This is like a meaningless phrase that like doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
overused. Goodbye.
Last one. Another just absolutely ridiculous thing is beach to boardroom.
I don't think I've used this one, but I've heard it and I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, I'm probably guilty of using this early on. This is probably one that I, you know, might have used, you know, way back in the day. I think like there's an ironic way to use this that can be clever, but it just describes a situation that like literally does not exist. Like it's like no one has ever said like, I need a watch that, you know, can go from like my beach vacation to a boardroom. It's a ludicrous situation. It's like it's a phrase that's meant to like conjure like you can't help but conjure an image. And like all you're saying is that the watch is like versatile enough to be worn outdoors or indoors. That's really kind of like what you're saying. Like it can be worn in like a dressed down or a dressed up environment. Well, basically any watch can be worn in those environments. So
but can you take it from your boardroom meeting out to the beach, into the water, you know, like that? Like what scenario? Who's doing that? I mean,
maybe some people are, but like
anyone's going to change clothes anyway. You might as well change your watch.
Yeah, I mean, you know who's doing it, and why this phrase is kind of meaningless, I think, is virtually everyone does that. That's like the normal behavior of a normal person who wears a watch. It's only enthusiasts like us who think about, having
a watch
separate
for every
watches
single
for every
scenario.
micro scenario,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's actually the answer here is like, who's doing this? Everyone's doing it. Everyone's taking their watch from the beach to the boardroom because most people
just buy a watch.
Yeah, most people just buy a watch and they wear it everywhere they go. And they don't
call it a day.
They don't concern themselves with these things. Anyway, I don't really like that like that phrase.
No, I don't like it either. And as we're getting to the others that we have, I think just this is a good segue to this one, which is the go anywhere, do anything.
Yes.
Which we say all the time, the GATA watch, right? And
that's an acronym that makes my skin crawl. I do not like GATA.
But it's the same concept. It's like we all want a watch that we don't have to worry about and we can just wear and enjoy. I think that's like the basis of having a watch, especially if you're spending thousands of dollars on it, or hundreds of dollars on it. You want a watch that you can wear all the time.
Yeah.
Point blank. That's it. Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's like almost every watch, especially if it's a modern watch, you can wear all the time. Don't take your don't take your Patek Grand Complication diving, or even to the beach. Don't take
situational awareness.
But most watches, are going to be totally fine, in whatever sort of everyday situation.
95% of your situations. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Including the beach, including the boardroom. So, okay. When was the last time you were in a boardroom?
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
No boardrooms at Warren Mountain.
Can't remember. Yeah. Next phase, we have we have a boardroom.
Maybe.
All right, some additional cliches that didn't make the cut. Initially, you mentioned go anywhere, do anything. Strap monster.
I like strap monster.
Yeah,
I know we had some commenters say it, but I kind of like it.
I also I've used strap monster. I haven't really thought I haven't thought of that as a cliche that needs to be retired.
Yeah.
It's a term that's perhaps overused, but I think it does do a good job of describing a watch that can be the key is you can't just say a watch is a strap monster. You have to give examples. You have to and also hopefully in the context of a review provide some photographic evidence of that
other straps on it. So
totally. I would say this one is acceptable if you expand on it.
True
In the metal is another, so this is another kind of idiomatic phrase that is I guess it's sort of a play on in the flesh, right? Because watches are not made of flesh, they're made of metal. But then you have to be careful if you're using it to describe a ceramic watch, which is not metal, or a plastic watch like a moon swatch, which is also not metal. I don't love this. I try not to use it. I'm sure I've used it. I probably used it quite
It's not my
recently,
favorite either. I think it can go. It can go.
It can, value proposition.
Oh, this one is way overused.
Yeah.
Way overused.
There's a better way to talk about a watch's value than using. Again, this is one where you just have to expand. You have to you have to
and
show your work.
I think we do a good job of that. We talk about other pieces and things that are relatable in that price range. But I think you have to expand and give examples with it. You can't just say it's a value proposition.
Value proposition is it's a very searchable term. People use that across all sorts of categories. Sure. So I feel like that phrase is not going anywhere. But gotta show your work.
Why is it a value proposition?
Yeah. Really. Yeah. There's always some additional examination needed there. You can't just proclaim from the mountaintop that it's that something is a value proposition and get away with it. Punch above its weight.
Yeah, I've seen this one quite often.
This one came up in the comments, I think, and I think there's you gotta there's ways to expand on this. You have to sort of think about it's linked to value proposition in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so you're saying that if it punches above its weight, it's got more to it than meets the eye, or I don't know. That's probably not the best saying to use, but there's additional value there that maybe one is not, I guess, seeing at a glance.
I think honestly, that's kind of what we're trying to do in every review that we write is sort of like going beyond the specs, going beyond like the surface level, and looking for ways that a watch like surprises us or does something better than you would expect it to do, and diving into that. So I think, another way to look at this is like every review, every analysis of a watch is like kind of an examination of whether or not it does punch above its weight, and how successful it is at punching above its weight. So, but yeah, I mean, that as a term, it's definitely something that like can be used lazily and is used more frequently, I think, than it should.
Do you also? I just had a thought about value proposition. Do you feel like that's used mostly with watches that are of a certain value, like more affordable pieces? Because I think, earlier in this episode we were talking about the J.N. Shapiro watches, and you sort of mentioned that while these were, mid $30,000 watches, compared to some of their higher end pieces, like it is kind of a value proposition in my mind. Like that's an instance where I would say that, but then I feel like maybe people would be triggered if you said that was a value proposition. It was a $30,000 watch, but it kind of is when you think about like the grand scheme of the brand. And
well, I mean, that's sort of like, that's kind of the meme, right? It's like, someone, a watch writer says something that costs $50,000 as a value proposition. We're all so out of touch. And there's a lot of truth to that. You have to like acknowledge, I mean, I think like the Shapiros are kind of a value proposition in the sense that you're getting like guilloche work from a world-class guilloche artisan. You're getting exotic materials. You're getting a watch made by a brand that's still at the early stages of its, of like developing pedigree. Like imagine getting into FP Journe, like when FP Journe was like not a household name, it's sort of, I think that like the argument for Shapiro is similar, to that. I'm not saying that that's like that's what we can expect to transpire, but I think like, people who support the brand, acolytes, will say that like that's the argument. So in that sense, there is a value proposition there, but you just have to be like, you have to be careful how you use it, and like, as we're, I think the cliche, the theme that's emerging here is that you have to like show your work. You have to explain, and go beyond just like the turn of phrase that is so overused. But yeah, I feel like I hear it a lot and cringe the most when it's used in the context of a very expensive watch. So yeah. Punch above its weight, value proposition, two phrases that are linked. Maybe we should just, I don't know. Should we retire them, or should we make sure that we have at least one article a week that uses those in the in the title?
It's like a challenge to work them in. There's a couple others here. I just want to quickly mention Workhorse is one as well that a reader had mentioned, and Grail. I feel like Grail is definitely used a lot.
Grail is used a lot. Every time I hear Grail used in the context of watches, I just think of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and then just like scenes from that movie just kind of replay in my head. So I'm not supportive of deleting that from the lexicon, just because I enjoy thinking about Monty Python and the Holy Grail. One of the
same for me with Strap Monster. I like thinking of a little monster with straps. Like that's what my mind goes to. So yeah, it's cute. Wait, that should be our next. Okay, I'm not going to say this actually on the podcast because I don't want anybody to steal my idea.
Yeah, protect it. This is being recorded. This goes out to many people. Certain number of people will hear this. So, protect those ideas until they're ready for the public. So, all right. So we've identified a bunch of cliches. Why do you think this happens? I have some theories, but I'm curious if you have any, if you've thought about this.
I'm not the writer here, so I don't really have any theories.
Okay. let me propose my theory.
Okay.
I think that this happens because there are so many watches, and there's a lot of pressure, I think, to write about everything that comes out, everything that hits our inbox, everything that we have access to. And I think like the fact of the matter is not every watch is worth writing about. Not every watch is remarkable.
Yeah.
And we find ourselves struggling at times to come up with ways to talk about these watches in ways that are original or meaningful and that
engaging,
get a point across in a certain amount of time. Sometimes you don't have a lot of time with samples.
Sure.
Sometimes we work on tight deadlines. We're all wearing many hats. And so it's just like, it's hard to say something that's like truly original and meaningful about every watch that comes out. And so that, I think, is why all of us at times revert to these. And I'm talking about us at Warner, at our colleagues at other publications, because this happens across the board.
Yeah.
We all just kind of revert to these
How
kind of like go-to phrases.
Say about a watch over 100 years? You know, at some point there has to be phrases that get repeated all the time.
Well, yeah, for sure. Because like ultimately, like watches these are things that were never meant to be collected, right? Like they're you were meant, like the whole conceit of a watch is like they last forever. So you buy one and you wear it for your entire life, and then that one gets passed down to your kid. And yet, like the whole industry has become this, like, so it's sort of like it's a fashion industry that's cyclical, and like these watches get like pumped out on a quarterly basis, and you gotta cover them. You gotta find something original, to say about them, and there's something kind of like unnatural about that doesn't really line up with what watches really are. And so I think that it's a real challenge to come up with original ways to describe them, when they're fundamentally, like, they all kind of do the same thing, and they all most of them are circular, made of metal, have a mechanical or a quartz movement. Like you just it's a relatively
go anywhere, do anything,
go anywhere, do anything. And so I think like it's a challenge. I think like we're game for it, and like we accept the challenge. We love what we do.
Yeah.
The trick is, and I think like the art in this is finding the right person to talk about the watch in an interesting way, because we all have such varied taste, and we all are interested in so many different things. I'm thinking of a watch in particular. I won't say what it is because it's under embargo and it's not out yet. And the press release just came in today, and I saw that watch and I thought, retread, like new color variants, like I'm not really so interested in this watch. But I have a writer who I think will have a unique take on this watch.
Yeah.
And I can tell you're thinking, like, what is this?
Yeah, I know. I was like, I got like 10 first press releases.
We can talk about it off mic, but I think you'll agree. And, there's something original to say about this watch and any watch, but it might not be from me. It might be from someone else. And I think that's sort of like the secret to all of this is like just finding the right perspective and point of view, so that you don't need to use these cliches at all.
Absolutely. I think a good challenge for us would be to, at some point, it would be really cool if we had a watch for an extended period of time, and each of us spent, a week with the watch, and then we all sort of wrote like, a mini review all together, and just to really truly see the variety of opinions that we all have when it comes to a specific piece. We get to talk about it on the podcast a lot if we all sort of get to see a watch together, but collectively doesn't truly happen that often, because you and me are not in New York, and so and various pieces hit my desk and your desk and the people in our team in the office. So I don't know, I thought that would be like a cool exercise to do at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we're always looking for
a team review.
A team review. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fun idea. We're always looking for like new approaches to doing something that, has frankly been done.
What if like I just completely, bashed this watch, but then you absolutely loved it. And it truly just shows like it's all a matter of opinion, at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just like, again, like to the point I was, making is like we all have, ever changing and taste in like huge variety, so or maybe it's like a very narrow taste, and like you have like some, interesting take on a watch that's like outside of that. There's a bunch of different ways to approach it.
Sure.
So yeah, that's like sort of my treatise, I guess, on
cliches.
I've been thinking about it all weekend. Like, why does this why do we
Why do we do this?
Why do we revert to value proposition so often?
On wrist.
I had a couple other sort of like additional, not like cliches, but like I think like the next part of this is like tropes in the watch, in the watch writing space that like, are kind of tired that we, or maybe the ones that like I just like can't identify with. The one that immediately came to mind, so Father's Day was over the weekend, and I think there's a lot of watch writing out there that is about like, watches being passed down from like father to son.
Sure.
My dad's not a watch guy. Like he doesn't understand. He's very, very supportive, obviously, of like what I do. But like this is a world he does not get. I've never understood. I've never related to. I understand it. Like I can't like empathize or really relate to like that trope. And it's something that's just done like over and over and over again. Another one is space watches. Listen, I'm very interested in space. I have a tattoo of a Saturn V rocket on my arm. I'm skeptical that there is much new under the sun when it comes to telling the story of space watches. I think that like it's I don't know, something I've become less and less interested in.
Sure.
Year after year. Are there any? I didn't ask you to prepare anything for this, but are there any like sort of like watch writing tropes that come to mind that you just either don't relate to or want to see? Like you think we've just like.
The one that I think of is like the boyfriend watch, like women wearing, like larger pieces. At this point, women have been wearing larger watches for a while now. I think we can move past, that. That's the one that comes to mind. I like this though. I think we can probably dive into this subject in another podcast for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if listeners have suggestions, they like, these sort of like watch writing tropes, articles that you see over and over again that you wish we would stop writing, or the watch media community would stop writing. Put them in the comments. Let us know. Our DMs are open. As they say, we would be very interested to hear that feedback, especially if we're writing articles over and over again that you don't want to see. Please tell us. For my God, like save us the work. Like we don't want to keep repeating ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah. I think that does it for watch. Any last words on watch writing cliches before we go to our cultural recommendations?
These were fun. I enjoy. I'm actually like I really am interested to hear more of them because I feel like we're missing some. So if you're a listener and you found that we were missing some from this list, please reach out, send us a DM or an email. Because I'd like to see more of these.
I have a feeling we'll get a lot of. I hope we get a lot of comments. The article got a bunch of comments on it, and I certainly got DMs, from people when they saw the article. And there was a discussion in our own Slack and the small one on the TGN Slack as well. But the podcast reaches a different audience. So like I would be very curious to see if people are hearing this for the first time, like what they have to say about it. So yeah, let us know what cliches are you sick of or that we should avoid. Maybe there are cliches that you like that are like a comfort to you. The cliches are cliches because they like work in a certain way, I guess. So and they just become shorthand. So not every cliche needs to be retired or avoided entirely.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Cultural recommendations. Kat, do you have a cultural recommendation?
I do.
What do you got?
I do. So I'm kind of scared to even recommend this because I'm only 2 episodes in and the show could just like take a turn and be terrible. But I started watching Cape Fear on Apple TV.
People love this show.
Remake. And well, one thing, I've never seen the original. So I went into this really blind and I think the show is really good. Again, I'm 2 episodes in and I found myself like, I wanted to stay up last night and like get caught up on episodes because it's that entertaining and it's very enticing to watch the next episode and you want to kind of binge it. But I really, really like it. Javier Bardem, Amy Adams. Oh gosh, what was his name? I just lost it. I had it on the tip of my tongue. Insidious guy. He's an Insidious.
Yeah, Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Yeah, there you go. But it's really good. It's really entertaining. Javier Bardem is a good bad guy. He's always good at playing bad.
He's fantastic in this. I'm 3 episodes in. Yeah, I'm in on the show. I like it a lot.
It's pretty crazy.
Javier Bardem is great. The show, it's really well made. Like the filmmaking
it's
is good.
Like filmmaking is really, really interesting too. They do some cool artistic things.
Yeah, pretty compulsively watchable. And it's just like it's cool to see like where they stay with like the
story,
previous Cape Fear, films.
Do you feel like it's pretty close, having seen the original?
I think parts of it are close. There's like a gender swap with the couple.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that.
So that's different. But it's interesting. Like so the Scorsese film is great. Like really like overlooked Scorsese movie with a great Robert De Niro performance. I think technically the show is based on the original movie from the 50s. I don't have the information on that.
There was one prior to that.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously it's the same story. And I think originally it was a novel. Could be mistaken. I'll put the Wikipedia entry for Cape Fear on the show notes. It's a kind of like an interesting, it's a cool, cool piece of IP that has been interpreted multiple times. Of course, perhaps most famously for people, roughly our age, in The Simpsons. The joke that I made when I saw the show come up was like, oh, they're making a show based on that episode of The Simpsons, which is like one of the all-time classic Simpsons episodes. So, really, the cool show. I also recommend Cape Fear. I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out. It is tough to recommend something that's like so new, but so far so good.
Yeah, and the Southern accents are actually pretty good in this. They're not overblown, I felt.
So you haven't seen the Scorsese movie?
No, I haven't seen the Scorsese.
Okay, well, I'll be curious to hear you should watch it, and I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts on the Southern accents in that movie.
Okay,
because it's got De Niro doing.
Is De Niro Southern in it? Really?
Yeah, well, sort of. I mean, it's like it's a choice that he's making in that movie. But yeah, like that movie is just like kind of. The movie, it's like one of the most human movies ever made. It's like it's very Southern, like in its like in its look and feel. So, good pick. I like that show.
Sweet. What about you?
My pick. So I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I often get behind on podcasts. So over the weekend, I found myself like in the car a lot, just kind of like burning through pods. And my my recommendation is a podcast that I think is very popular, but like I just like happened to like I discovered it like maybe a year or so ago. It's been around for a while, and I had like a bunch of episodes that I hadn't listened to, and I just burned through a bunch this weekend. It's Talk Easy with Sam Fragoso. I don't know if you're familiar with this podcast. It's an interview podcast with Sam Fragoso, who's the host of the podcast, and he is like just an excellent interviewer. He's very young. He interviews a lot of like folks in like the entertainment world.
Okay.
Like filmmakers and actors, also musicians. He's I think in his like late 20s, and he's been doing the podcast for like 10 years. So I think he started when he was like a teenager. It's a very, very popular podcast. It was just like a blind spot for me for a long time. But I happened to listen to like 3 or 4 episodes over the course of the weekend and just like really enjoyed it. He has this like way of really disarming his guests and like getting them to like open up and talk about things that you wouldn't necessarily expect. I listened to his interview with Alanis Morissette over the weekend, which is a really good conversation. He interviewed Michelle Obama recently. He's talked to Nathan Lane. Back a few months ago, he interviewed Chris Ryan, who's a great podcaster on the Ringer Network podcast. And that was a really fun discussion, like getting into his background and personal life. If you listen to like, the rewatchables, the Big Picture, The Watch, like some of those like Ringer Media podcasts, you hear Chris Ryan a lot. And it's like, this is it's a really kind of like fascinating window into like his life, and like 2 podcasters talking to each other is also like interesting. So Talk Easy.
I'll have to give it a listen. I've
it's
never
really
heard
good.
of it.
I think you'd like it. You listen to Amy Poehler's podcast.
I do,
right? So this is like this is like a similar. I love that podcast as well. This is sort of like a similar sort of like relaxed vibe to it. Cool. It's just like there's a reason it's called Talk Easy. It's like it's just it's like an easy listen. It's very like a comfortable listen. It's like it's very, very good. So
I'm always looking for a new podcast. So
yeah. Me too. I have like literally like the the badge on my podcast app is like in the thousands. I have like thousands of like unlistened.
Wow.
It's
Wait,
out of control.
badge in what? What do you listen to podcasts on? Do you use Spotify?
I use Downcast.
Downcast.
Which I think I'm like the last Downcast user. I used to be like
the only one.
No one uses it anymore. What do you use?
I just use Spotify for the most part.
I strongly dislike the Spotify user interface. Like I just really,
it's not great for podcasts specifically, and finding episodes I think is difficult, but because I'm on there so much for music and I can hop in and out back and forth on my car's like infotainment center, it's just easy that way. But I used to be an Apple podcast listener back in the day, but
I also don't like the user interface for that. And I discovered Downcast, I don't know, years and years ago. And I just like, I don't know, I bet a lot of people who would like use it would say like, well, that UI also sucks, but it's just like what I'm used to at this point.
Yeah, if you're used to it and it's what you started. Yeah.
Yeah. So
totally.
Anyway, further recommendation for Downcast. Join me.
We'll put a link in the show notes.
Join me on Downcast. All right. That was a fun episode. Thanks, Kat, for joining me. And thank you to everyone for tuning in for yet another week of the Warner Lounge podcast. We always appreciate it. And we will be back next week with another all-new episode. Until then, take care.